Have you ever gone to the cinema at midnight? If you have, you need to be careful. At 9 p.m., after a big argument with my boyfriend, I booked a movie ticket. When it was time to check the ticket, I gave the ticket to the ticket inspector and continued to go inside. The cold sound of the fourth room rang in my ears. I glanced at the ticket inspector. She looked like she was still asleep and looked very dreamy. When I entered the cinema, a black cat flashed past me. Suddenly, a cold feeling spread from my feet to my whole body. My whole body shivered from the cold. It was clearly summer, but the cinema was as cold as winter. It was strange. Even with the air conditioner on, it couldn't be that cold. Also, where did this black cat come from? How could there be animals in the cinema? As soon as I sat down, I was about to check if there was an apology message from my boyfriend, but I discovered something that made me shiver. The movie ticket in my hand suddenly turned into a sheet of rules. Rule 1: Don't talk to anyone in the theater, don't look around. Rule 2: Don't look directly into the eyes of people in the movie because strange phenomena will happen. Rule 3: The restroom in the theater can be used but please lock the door. Rule 4: The movie ends at 10:30, must leave the theater before 11 o'clock, otherwise you may not be able to leave. Note: if the movie hasn't ended, don't leave early. Rule 5: If someone calls your name, remember, don't look back, they are not sure who it is. Just a few short lines made me break out in cold sweat. Is this a joke? It must be the ticket inspector, she must be playing a trick. Just as I was about to find her to ask her clearly, the movie started to play. The moment the big screen lit up, I only noticed the people around me. Their faces were pale and lifeless, their eyes were empty and soulless like wooden people. I couldn't help but take a breath of cold air and suddenly realized that I seemed to have really entered a horror story. Then the movie I was looking forward to in a state of extreme tension became tasteless. My whole heart felt like it was about to explode. I had no mood to watch the movie at all. Everything here was too strange. Could I escape tonight? Just as I was thinking, the squeaking sound of a mouse rang out under my feet. Before I could react, the mouse suddenly stood up straight and smiled strangely at me. I was originally afraid of mice, not to mention that there was such a big mouse in front of me. Along with my scream, everyone's eyes around turned to me. I broke out in a cold sweat. My intuition told me not to look at them. They were characters in a strange and noble story. They were different from me. I tried to act calm and stared at the screen, hoping the movie would end soon. Suddenly my back stiffened. The person on the screen seemed to see me. It seemed like from the moment my eyes met hers, there was an invisible force pulling me into the screen. I suddenly remembered Rule 2. Don't look directly into the eyes of the person in the movie, otherwise a strange phenomenon would occur. I closed my eyes tightly. What should I do? What should I do? How long is the movie still left? I really can't stand it anymore. At this moment, I suddenly remembered the rule written on the toilet paper in the theater that can be used. That's right, I'll hide in the toilet. As soon as I get in the toilet, I immediately lock the door. The movie is still half an hour away. As long as I last through this half an hour, I'll be safe. Just as I was about to breathe a sigh of relief, there was a very light sound of footsteps outside, clearly heading towards the toilet. The footsteps were getting closer and closer, and my heartbeat also increased. There was a knock on the door. Who was it? Just when I was worried, a very gentle voice rang out, as if it was right next to my ear. I couldn't help but take a breath of cold air. There were clearly empty rooms, but why was someone outside knocking on this door? I didn't dare to make a sound. I thought that if no one answered, maybe that person would leave. But in reality, proving that I was thinking too much, the knocking continued like a ghostly sound with no intention of stopping. I kept praying in my head for all the bad luck to go away, bad luck to go away. A loud knocking sound came right after. Clearly the person outside the door was angry. I gritted my teeth, forcing myself to say, "Sorry, this bathroom is occupied." Perhaps my words had an effect. After I finished speaking, the person outside the door suddenly stopped knocking. Time passed little by little. I didn't know if that person was still out there, to the point that I even had to be careful when breathing. If it was gone, then should I open the door and take a look? But if it was still outside, then what should I do? While in doubt, I made a bold decision. I bent down a bit. A fear almost drowned me as I lowered my head to look under the door. I didn't see the terrifying eyes I imagined. Looking closer, there weren't any legs outside the door. Luckily, I breathed a sigh of relief. Just as I was about to open the door, my intuition told me somewhere there was a pair of eyes staring at me, but where was it? At this moment I suddenly thought of a place and my whole body immediately broke out in a cold sweat. I slowly raised my head, hoping that it was just my imagination, but the reality was cruel. When I raised my head, I clearly saw a human face looking at me with eyes that seemed to be locking onto its prey. I couldn't bear it anymore and quickly opened the door and ran out of the bathroom. Someone was chasing me, and not just one person. My ears heard the screams, the roars of wild animals, and the cawing of crows. What exactly was going on? When I ran until I was exhausted, I suddenly heard a familiar voice, like, I stood there, frozen in place. This was my grandmother's voice. I hadn't heard her voice for many years. When I was 15 years old, she passed away while saving me when I fell into the water. I couldn't mistake it. She had been gone for many years and had never appeared in my dreams. But now she seemed to be behind me. The rules said that no matter who called my name I could not turn around, but that was the person she loved the most. I wanted to see her again. At that time I decided that even if I died I would have no regrets. Grandma, the person standing behind me, was indeed my grandmother. My tears flowed. I hugged her tightly but found her body was cold as ice. Then she said, "Did I disobey and wander around again?" It was this late and I was still wandering around just like when I was a child, never making others feel at ease. "Grandma, I want to take you with me. Do you know how much your father has missed you these past years without you? Go see your father." Then she said, "Listen to me, I am gone, don't be angry and walk alone in the dark like this. The person behind is chasing you, quickly run to a place with light. This is the last time I will protect you, don't let me worry anymore." I had not yet grabbed her hand when she had the strength from somewhere to push me towards the light. I saw her figure getting further and further away. The sound in my ears also became clearer and clearer. It was like waking up, waking up, waking up. When I opened my eyes again, my boyfriend was beside my hospital bed. He said my schizophrenia relapsed. Last night, I had a relapse and walked to the intersection alone. The security guard found me unconscious and immediately took me to the hospital. I just remembered that since I had a relapse, my boyfriend had been actively treating this disease with me. The doctor also said that everything I saw in my dream was a dream. I thought of it myself, but I couldn't help but cry loudly. It was all just a dream or a strange place somewhere, but I still felt happy and proud to have a grandmother who loved me like her life. Please cherish the loved ones around you because in a place you don't know, they are always silently protecting you.